This is breaking news.
Governor Murphy is making an announcement in New Jersey. Let's go to
most important responsibilities of any governor, any administration, I know Sheila joins me in that, is choosing an individual to serve as New Jersey's Attorney General. To be sure, the Attorney General is not the governor's lawyer, but the people's lawyer, an attorney entrusted to represent all New Jerseyans and our values and our laws. During my first term, in our first term, we were fortunate to be served in this capacity by Attorneys General Kabir Grewal and Andrew Brook. They stood firm for our values, particularly when the former federal administration sought to undermine them. They worked to get illegal guns off our streets and defended our groundbreaking gun safety laws in court. They launched new policing practices to improve the relationships between law enforcement on the one hand and the residents they serve on the other. They took action to protect our immigrant communities. They took on polluters. They stood up for consumers and so much more. I thank them both. They each have set tremendous legacies within the office of the Attorney General. I spoke with Andrew yesterday, and he was, as always, a consummate professional. We've not heard the last of Andrew Brook, and he will go to great heights. As I look toward the upcoming 4 years and the challenges that lay ahead, I will once again look to the Attorney General to stand up for our New Jersey values and to keep the office and our state moving forward. To meet this challenge, it is my honor and pleasure to nominate Matt Platkin to serve as the 62nd Attorney General of the state of New Jersey. And I'm honored that Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver stands with me today, and so many friends and allies of Matt who are here. Matt grew up in Florham Park and Morristown and graduated from Madison High School. He currently resides in the People's Republic of Montclair with his wife Sophia and their son Robert, who are both with us today. And we're also honored to be joined by Matt's mom and dad, Judy and Larry. Matt holds both of his undergraduate and law degrees from Stanford University. Contrary to any rumors, I do not hold his having absconded to the other coast against him. Importantly, he came back to New Jersey to engage in public service and give back to the state that gave him so much. Tammy, who is with us today, and I have known Matt personally and professionally for the past 8 years. In fact, he was volunteer #1 in the earliest days of our New Jersey mission. I have seen his intellect, his work ethic, his commitment to good governance, and his ethical sense of right and wrong. As my first chief counsel, he was my primary advisor on all of our administration's legal matters and spearheaded many of our policy initiatives, including gun safety, voting rights, and the rights of those left at society's margins. I mentioned that Matt was a volunteer. Indeed, back when he was a volunteer and then later on as a paid professional, Matt was not legal counsel, he was head of policy, and those chops have served him well at every step of the way. But I particularly think of the earliest days of the pandemic as he ably led the counsel's office in helping us confront the greatest public health crisis, not only of this current century, but of the past 100 years. Every Attorney General needs strong legal skills. Chris Perino is here. He was an outstanding Attorney General, and I know he can attest to that, and he embodies that, which Matt has in spades and has proven in his time as chief counsel, in private practice, and in the pro bono work he has undertaken. But every Attorney General also needs to lead with empathy, and Matt has that too. That trait is written throughout many of the laws he helped craft and see passed as chief counsel. Under our state's constitution, unlike most of the cabinet, the Attorney General is given a layer of independence. As I noted earlier, the Attorney General isn't the governor's lawyer, but the people's lawyer, entrusted with enforcing the laws of our state fairly and even-handedly. The independence is most crucial in matters which are criminal in nature and must, because of that, be absolutely free of politics. I know Matt has the backbone and the fortitude to uphold this sacred principle. As I noted in my second inaugural address, just because one term ends and another begins does not mean that the old challenges fade away. And the same can be said for the Attorney General. I know Matt will continue the Attorney General's office's strong record of taking on polluters, fraudsters, and other criminals. But looking outward, Our nation continues to stand at a crossroads when it comes to fundamental questions about policing in our criminal justice system, when the right of states to enact and enforce common sense gun safety laws is under attack, when voting rights are being restricted across the country, and when the very sense of the American dream itself seems to be falling from the grasp of so many. In these issues and many more, New Jersey will show the way forward, not just through smart policies and strong laws, but an equally smart and strong defense of both. In this, the Office of the Attorney General will stand tall. I think of the words of Robert F. Kennedy, who I believe, by the way, Robert Platkin may be named after. And we're hearing not only the words of Robert F. Kennedy a moment, but of Robert Platkin at the moment. Then Attorney General Bobby Kennedy addressed the law school at the University of Georgia in his first formal speech after becoming the U.S. Attorney General in 1961. And although we are now more than 60 years removed, his words still prove salient. And I quote the then general: "For on this generation of Americans falls the full burden of proving to the world that we really mean it when we say that all men are created free and equal before the law. All of us might wish at times that we lived in a more tranquil world, but we don't. And if our times are difficult and perplexing, so are they challenging and filled with opportunity." Those words could be said today. We have made historic strides in making New Jersey the opportunity state in so many areas across the past 4 years, and there is still much, much more to do. With Matt serving as our Attorney General, I know that New Jersey's storied laws, which have opened doors of opportunity and knocked down barriers of injustice for so many, will be in good hands. With that, please help me welcome the singular, incomparable, my partner in government, the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of New Jersey, Sheila Y. Oliver.
Good morning. I have had the opportunity to be in this auditorium, this wonderful War Memorial Auditorium, on many occasions, but I must tell you, in all sincerity, today is one of the happiest and most exciting days that I have been in this auditorium. Thank you, Governor Murphy. Having had a front row seat, I can attest to everything that Governor Murphy has said about Matt. In so many of our policy victories across our first term, it was Matt who helped craft the laws that are now setting New Jersey apart as a national leader. From equal pay to voting rights, from gun safety to the minimum wage, from future-focused investments in our budget, in the hundreds of bills that have been signed into law that made every day better for regular New Jerseyans. And often in government, the public does not get to have an opportunity to see how things come to the fore. Professionals like Matt Platkin are what make things come to the fore in government. And I could not be more pleased that Governor Murphy is nominating Matt as the next Attorney General for the state of New Jersey. Each of these efforts that he has been involved in supporting the early days of our administration, they all have one thing in common, and it is that Matt fought to make sure that if it wasn't good for New Jersey, then it would not be good for us. He is to be recognized for that early work. You know, the day that the governor and I were sworn in, the first thing was to sign into law equal pay for equal work for women. And he began, because he had spent time on the policy side, examining those things that could, in fact, change the everyday lives of New Jerseyans, and he did that. As the governor noted, Matt will be a strong and independent Attorney General. Our state will be able to rely upon him for the challenges that lie ahead. He's not going to back away from taking on the right fights for the right reasons. Of this I have no doubt, because I have seen his passion and his smarts on display. You know, the governor made references to Kennedy, and I love some of the things that Kennedy left behind for us. But one of the things that Kennedy said was that it was time for a new generation of leadership with bold new ideas and bold visions, because there are new frontiers and challenges to be won. I believe that Matt represents that new generation of leadership. So Matt, welcome back to public service and to our administration. It will be a pleasure to sit beside you at the cabinet table.
Really well said, Sheila. Thank you so much. I want to salute Parimal Garg, our chief counsel, who conducted an incredibly rigorous and far-reaching and incredibly professional process to get us to this day. So thank you, Parimal. I also mentioned law enforcement. There are many members with us today, and I want to acknowledge one in particular, my partner in so many endeavors, the Superintendent of the State Police, Colonel Pat Callahan. Pat, thank you to you and your colleagues for everything you do. With that, please help me welcome the next Attorney General for the great state of New Jersey, Matt Platkin.
Governor Murphy, Lieutenant Governor Oliver, thank you for those incredibly gracious introductions. To say that this nomination is the honor of my life would be an understatement. I am humbled beyond measure by the confidence that you're placing in me. To the Lieutenant Governor, someone who I can say is a hero and an inspiration, I have benefited tremendously by being by your side and learning from your experience in government, and I am thrilled truly to be able to partner with you again. To my parents, Judy and Larry, who are here, thank you for always setting the right example for me and for encouraging me to dream big. To my wife, my best friend, Sophia, and the best little guy who you've probably all now heard speak, Robert, thank you for being my rock and my inspiration. We've definitely come a long way. And I know this is a team effort. Anybody who's ever served in public office knows that. This will involve sacrifices you both will make, and there's not a moment that goes by that I'm not grateful for you, and I love you. To my friends and colleagues, Chief of Staff George Helmy and Chief Counsel Parimal Garg, two people who I think we can all agree embody what it means to be public servants, who have tirelessly worked over the last 2 years steering the state through a pandemic. I'm truly excited to work with you once again. To Attorney General Andrew Bruck, someone who I have known and admired for many years, I thank you for your service and the outstanding example you've set for me and everyone else throughout the Department of Law and Public Safety during your tenure. To the many distinguished lawyers who have come before me and have graciously offered me their counsel, including several who are here today, such as former Attorney General Chris Perino, former Chief Counsel Bill Kastner, and many others, I thank you for your generosity, and I will continue to rely on your counsel in the months and years ahead. To Senate President Nicholas Scutari, Senate Judiciary Chairman Brian Stack, members of the Judiciary Committee, and members of the New Jersey State Senate, I am grateful for your consideration, and I look forward to meeting with you in the coming days and to working with you on our many shared priorities. To Speaker Craig Coughlin and members of the General Assembly, I'm eager to begin working with and collaborating with you as well. To New Jersey State Police Superintendent Colonel Pat Callahan, the thousands of women and men throughout the state police, First Assistant Jen Davenport, and the many other public servants in the Department of Law and Public Safety. It will be my honor to stand shoulder to shoulder with you every day. To the many advocates and faith leaders representing communities across our beautifully diverse state, I look forward to sharing an open line of communication with you and to achieving great results together. And last but certainly not least, to Governor Murphy and First Lady Tammy Murphy. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for the trust you are placing in me. As the governor mentioned, we met many years ago, and it hasn't been a day that's gone by that I haven't been grateful that our paths crossed. From the time we met, it was obvious to me then, just as it remains obvious to me now, that these were the people who were the right people to lead our state, and that the governor's vision for a stronger and fairer New Jersey was one that was worth fighting for. I'm just laughing, I know. This is how he reacts to me at home, too. So, I'm a product of New Jersey. My great-grandparents immigrated here and raised my grandparents just a few miles away from where I'm now raising my son. My parents met as freshmen at Rutgers, and I'm a proud graduate of our public schools. As a law student in California, I beamed when we read Abbott and Mount Laurel, two landmark New Jersey decisions that collectively made us the first state in America to stand for the proposition that every child, no matter where he or she is from, is entitled to a good home and a quality education. As both a public servant and as a litigator in private practice, throughout my career I've worked to strengthen our laws and make New Jersey a better and safer place to live and work. Plain and simple, I love this state and everything that it stands for. It is now my honor and privilege to serve as the New Jersey's next Attorney General. As our state's chief law enforcement officer, it is with great humility that I accept responsibility for enforcing the laws of this state. As Attorney General, my highest priority will always be keeping our residents safe. This means, in particular right now, bringing all necessary resources to bear to prevent violent crime. And because most violent crime involves firearms, we will use every tool at our disposal to tackle the root causes of gun violence, including by holding those accountable who foster gun violence in our communities. Under my leadership, the office will also place great priority on protecting the civil rights of all of our residents. We must acknowledge that for too many, the trust between law enforcement and the communities we serve is broken. We will redouble our efforts to repair that trust, building on the bipartisan efforts of this and prior administrations. And in doing so, we will recognize and seek to relieve the often overwhelming burden we have placed on law enforcement to not only prevent crime, but to serve as addiction and mental health counselors, all while handling a global pandemic. Third, we will continue to pursue meaningful affirmative litigations on behalf of the state. New Jersey has amongst the strongest consumer protection, environmental, and worker misclassification laws in the country, just to name a few. We will put these laws to work to provide relief for our residents, whether they have been victimized by a predatory lender, a corporate polluter, or an employer unlawfully depriving them of their hard-earned benefits. New Jersey, we like to say, has great laws. I will make sure they are enforced. More than anything, I want to express a clear commitment today that as Attorney General, I will wake up every day to serve all 9 million residents who call this great state home. I will discharge my duties fairly and without fear or favor, and we will not shy away from tough fights when they are the right fights. My dad is here, and lately I've been thinking about a print that he hung in our house when I was young, of a famous Hebrew phrase from the Torah, Tzedek, Tzedek Tirdof. And beneath it was written a translation, Justice, justice shalt thou pursue. Growing up, I saw that print every morning when I woke up and every evening before I went to bed. And since I've been an attorney, that print has hung in every office I've ever held, a reminder of what this is all about. To this day, when I see that print, I'm struck by the word choice of that translation, word choice that has been debated by rabbis for centuries. Justice, justice shalt thou pursue. Justice is a pursuit. It is not something you complete, perfect, accomplish, or achieve. It is a pursuit. A never-ending, tireless pursuit. A pursuit that's full of disappointments and setbacks, incomplete steps, and half measures. But this pursuit of justice is not optional. It is, in fact, our obligation. And we are instructed that only by pursuing justice in an honest and just manner can we faithfully fulfill that obligation. As Attorney General, those words will be my North Star. I am privileged to wake up every day leading a department of nearly 8,000 women and men who have committed their lives to that pursuit. Collectively, we will work tirelessly to protect the people who call this state home. Governor, I thank you for this honor. I'm excited and I'm ready to get to work.
Really well done, Matt. Congratulations. So that's it. So on behalf of all of our speakers, Sheila, Matt, Robert, and me, we thank you for coming. Thank you all for coming, and God bless you, Matt and family. Take care, everyone.